Yeah, what's up, people? Yesterday's game against Brentford was a very disappointing result. Though I made a video right here where I stated that Brentford is not usually an easy game for Chelsea. In fact, if you go through their past 5 games, you'll find out that they won twice against Chelsea, and Chelsea only won them once as they drew the remaining two. So they are always up and doing whenever they are facing Chelsea. So yesterday's result, like I predicted, I had expected Chelsea to come out on top with slightly, goal margin. I had predicted 1-0 or 2-1, but it wasn't to be. I felt that when Chelsea eventually led in that very game, that Chelsea was going to sustain, that very lead, because playing against this team, when these kind of teams, when they see Chelsea, you see them putting all their energy to make sure that they get a result. And coming from the back of international duty, most of Chelsea players were out representing their various countries. So they came back. Some of them, had to face jet lag. Some of them had to face fatigue. And you're facing a fresh Brentford side, whose players, majority of their players, don't even get to represent their country. But at the end of the day, we can't complain. Chelsea managed to get a point at the end of the day, and I think that is very, very massive. Every team in the EPL is very, very strong and competitive. Every team in the EPL. In fact, you don't have to celebrate ahead of any game. You only need to play the game, then celebrate later. That is if you manage to win. Liverpool today almost got a draw against Burnley. In fact, they were fortunate to have snatched that victory at the dead. Thanks to that, heartbreaking handball from Burnley. So, because at the end of the day, Liverpool was already settling for draw. In fact, Burnley, they were confident that this game was going to end on draw. But at the end of the day, it wasn't to be, and Liverpool were lucky to snatch the victory at the dead. Then Manchester United, on the other hand, Manchester United are sharing points. I just made a video a few minutes ago where I stated that they shouldn't be an obstacle to Chelsea. Chelsea will be playing them next in the EPL. So as they are doing bonus right now, they must, remember to compensate Chelsea, as they are sharing bonus, as they are sharing point. This time around, they need to, make sure that Chelsea collects their own when they play in the next weekend. So this weekend or this week is going to be a tough one for Chelsea, as Chelsea has 2 important games coming up. And the first one is against FC Bayern Munich, during the week on Wednesday in the Champions League. This is how Chelsea is going to start the Champions League. They will be playing against FC Bayern. It's a very, very tough game. And I wish Chelsea had won against Brentford. When you win, when you keep accumulating points, then you stay in touch with the teams at the top. So it was important to Chelsea to have won that game against Brentford as they go into the game against FC Bayern. But this is an entirely different game. Champions League is another game altogether. And Chelsea so far has proven by the kind of performance they managed to dish out against PSG that they can actually play and win against any team. So that game against FC Bayern is going to be a very massive game for Chelsea. But Chelsea are not afraid, because Chelsea always turns up whenever they are facing a big side. Then after that, we have Manchester United coming up in the weekend, the next weekend. So, and it's a game that Chelsea is expected to win, based on the fact that Manchester United are currently struggling. Remember that how they started the season? When they lost against Arsenal, they said they played better than Arsenal. They played against Fulham, and Fulham had to come from behind to draw against them. Then they play against Grimsby, Division 7 side, and they lost against Grimsby. And they only managed to, defeat Burnley at the dead, thanks to a penalty that was awarded to them. So, and their next game, the game they played today is against Manchester City, of which they lost 3-0. So their next game right now is against Chelsea. So Chelsea, there shouldn't be any excuses. Manchester United are really struggling right now. So Chelsea are expected to win that one. But truth be told, Manchester United, whether they are alive, whenever they are playing against Chelsea, they tend to give their best. So Chelsea must also, take them very, very serious. They should avoid complacency to avoid a die-known. So it's going to be a very busy week for Chelsea, facing FC Bayern Munich and, of course, Manchester United. So I don't know what is going to play out in this game, but I'll be leaving the comment section open for you to also share your thoughts by predicting both games.